A Local History of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Hull and Grimsby Area, 1844 to 1973. This is audio transcript, 4 of 9, Year History, 1916 to 1924. The audio transcripts were compiled by Sharon Bolton and produced by Michael Pennington. The audio transcripts of this history are available in audio CD, MP3 and Windows Media Player formats. In order to obtain copies of these audio transcripts, or print versions of this history, available in Microsoft Word and Adobe PDF formats, please contact Sharon Bolton by email, at sharonmbolton@gmail.com. Year History 1916. In January, the Hull branch president, Elder Hall, was released and Elder Nell C. Jorgensen sustained. In February, 3 local brethren were ordained. Brother R. A. Hanson to elder, William Bushell and Robert H. Summers to priest. Elder Thomas E. Vance was also sustained as presiding elder, and Elder Lauren Parsonsy as clerk. In March, district meetings were held with Conference President F. M. Argyle presiding. Sunday School was reported by William Bushell, Relief Society by Rose Bushell, Mutual by Frank Todd, and the branch by Elder Vance. Hull Annual Conference was held in April at Foresters Hall, with President Hiram M. Smith of the European Mission presiding, Elder J. M. Jadal of the Liverpool office, President Thomas Argyle and 7 travelling elders of Hull Conference attending. 3 sessions were held, and a baptismal service for 6 people was held in the Turkish baths. In August, a local brother, George H. Norma, was sustained as presiding elder in Hull branch, with Elder William Smith as counselor. In November, Sunday School was reorganized with William Bushell as superintendent and assistants T. Smith and Frank Todd. The next day, a social was held in Foresters Hall, to bid farewell to President Hickson and Elder Godfrey. This event unfortunately was interrupted by the buzzers, indicating an air raid. On August 25, President Hickson represented Hull Conference at the Conference Presidents' Convention held at Durham House, Liverpool, and gave a good report. On October 8, the semi-annual conference was held, with George F. Richards of the European Mission presiding. Sacrament was administered by brothers James R. Skipworth and Herbert Hall. Hull and Grimsby Sunday School presented a program. There were 90 present, 102 in the afternoon and 103 in the evening. During the evening session, President Hickson gave a report on the conference. He said that the people were in a better condition spiritually than they were a year ago. The branches were all organized with local brethren, and the sisters were called to assist in tracting and spreading the gospel. In November, President Hickson was released and Joseph A. Godfrey sustained as conference president. 5 days later he was also released and Elder William D. Lewis appointed. On December 6, there were just 3 elders in the conference, being President Lewis and Elders Freckleton and Ellis. The statistical report showed the conference having 343 members including 9 elders, and with 20 baptisms during the year. There were still 4 relief societies organized, with 63 members. 1917. On Christmas Eve 1916, Brother Percival John Bull was baptized at 36 Linneas Street, Hull, and left the next day for France and the battlefront. In May 1917, he was killed during a battle. In January, President George F. Richards adopted the rule of calling the sisters to do missionary work in the British Isles. The following lady missionaries were set apart for this work in the Hull Conference: Martha Smith, Bessie G. Todd, Mary A. Thorpe, Rose H. Bushell, Gertrude Coates, Margaret Warham, Lovina Walker, Muriel Pickering, Avis Tosie Pickering, Avis Pickering, Mary Ann North Graves, L. Florence Evelyn Hall, Eliza Watton, Ena Jarman, Lily Wiseman, Mary Helen Hall, Rose Oxley, Ellen Thurkel Bowes, Ellen Blanche Walker, Mary Elizabeth Manton, Maggie Dunstan, Jane Bushell and Elizabeth Moore Baracla. In February, Elder Wilfred O. Freckleton died in Hull Infirmary from cerebrospinal meningitis. His body was taken to Liverpool and shipped home accompanied by 2 elders. An elderly sister, Jane Ramsey of Hull, also died in January, aged 70. She was buried in Springbank Cemetery, Hull, with Conference President Lewis, conducting. The annual Hull Conference was held on March 18, in Foresters Hall. The European Mission President, George F. Richards, presided with President Lewis and 2 elders present. The Hull Branch President, George H. Norman, bore his testimony. Attendance was 242. A baptismal service followed, when 4 people were baptized. In May, district meetings were held, with a program presented by the primary children. Branch reports were given by President Norman and William F. Bushell, the superintendent. In September, MIA conference was held with President Robert H. Summers in charge in Hull Branch. In August, a baptismal service was held in Cleethorpes, when 6 people were baptized, all properly in the sea. President Lewis and Elder Ellis officiated, with 3 local elders, J.R. Skipworth, Robert E. Watson and Arthur Preston. In October, the semi-annual conference was held, again presided by George F. Richards, with George F. Richards Jr. of the Liverpool office, President Lewis and 2 elders of Hull Conference. In the evening session, there was a trio by Marion Barrett, Fanny Dalton, and President George Norman. On the Saturday, a priesthood and lady missionary meeting was held, with elders and lady missionaries reporting. The statistical report for the year showed 363 members including 13 elders, with 20 baptisms. There were 4 organized relief societies, with 49 members and an average attendance of 7. 1918. In Hull Branch, MIA met on Tuesdays with President Robert H. Summers with James Widdowson and Fanny Dalton as counselors. On Tuesday, March 12, there was an unusual event when 2 German Zeppelins attacked Hull, dropping bombs and aerial torpedoes. Several ships in the docks, along with defense guns, succeeded in driving off the raiders. The raid lasted 30 minutes, and the noise was terrific. Fortunately, no one was killed and little damage was done. Hull Annual Conference was held in Foresters Hall, on March 17. President George F. Richards presided, with Conference President William D. Lewis, and Elders Oliver D. Ellis and Fred G. Day. Sacrament was administered by Brothers William Bushell and Arthur Preston. Elder Day had come from Cardiff, the first local man to be called on a mission for some years. He was ordained an elder by President Richards on the previous day, 16th March, and set apart. He was later called as conference clerk. President Lewis returned home, and Elder John H. Wilding was appointed in his stead, being transferred from Manchester. In May, the Hull Branch Relief Society was released, and in July, was reorganized with Elizabeth Norman as president and Mary Annie Thorpe and Alice Branson as councillors. The semi-annual conference was held in Hull on September 15. Again, Apostle George F. Richard presided over the 3 sessions and the priesthood and lady missionary meeting. Sacrament was administered in the morning session by Robert H. Summers and Herbert F. Hall. The Sunday schools of the various branches gave a program, with Sister Lavina Walker of York Branch speaking on Sunday school work. At the evening meeting, a quartet was sung by Marion Barrett, Fanny Dalton, President Wilding, and George Norman. There was also a baptismal service on Saturday, when 3 persons were baptized in the Turkish baths. In October 2 more sisters, Florence Maker King and Hudson Gibbons, were set apart as lady missionaries. In November, Elder Arnold G. Holland transferred to Hull from Norwich and became conference clerk. Elder F. G. Day transferred to Manchester. Also in November, conference headquarters were changed, from 36 Linnaeus Street to 46 Park Street. In December, there were two local events. Robert H. Summers blessed his daughter Effie, named after her mother, and a rebaptism of Mrs. Edith Johnson and her two children, who had been members and then joined the Seventh-day Adventists. The statistical report for the year showed the conference having 357 members, including 15 elders, with 6 baptisms during the year. Relief Society reported 3 organized branch societies, with an enrollment of 47 and an average attendance of 6. 1919. In January, the conference president John H. Wilding was released and Arnold G. Holland sustained. Brother Frank Alexander, from Loddin, Norwich Conference, was ordained an elder and appointed as conference clerk. 3 more sisters, Ivy M. Norman, Lillian M. Bushell and Lilias Doris Grimsby, were set apart as missionaries in the Hull Conference. In the branch, the Children's Tea Party was held on January 4, followed by a prize giving of books to those with the best records through the previous year. The older members and their friends had their social on December 28. In February, more local brothers and sisters were called to branch office. Gertrude Coates as counselor in MIA. Edith Curtin as secretary. In March, local elder T. Warham as first counselor in the branch presidency, and William F. Bushell as second counselor. Brother F. Walker as assistant in Sunday school and Effie Summer as first counselor in MIA. In March, a missionary class was organized in Hull branch, with Martha Smith as president, Marion Barrett secretary and Rose H. Bushell as assistant secretary. Brother Thomas Smith was appointed to meet with the sisters as priesthood representative. The branch president was George H. Norman, with councillors Thomas Warham and William Bushell and Robert H. Summers as secretary. In March, Brother Herbert Burrell of Norwich was ordained elder, and set apart as a travelling missionary to labour in Hull. Elder F. Alexander was also transferred to Norwich. Another elder, Gardham Stainton of York, was set apart as a missionary by President Holland, and was then appointed to preside over the Hull Conference by President George F. Richards. The annual Hull Conference was held on April 19, in Foresters Hall, President George F. Richards presiding, and Gardham Stainton conducting. 3 sessions were held, with an attendance of 238. A priesthood meeting was held the following week, when Brother Fred J. Walker was ordained elder. Also, a successful bazaar was held by the Relief Society, and a concert was given in the evening. In September the semi-annual conference was held, with President George Albert Smith and his wife, with Gardham Stainton conducting. The children of Hull and Grimsby Sunday schools rendered various items in the morning session, when Elder Heddock and Sister Lucy Smith spoke. Sacrament was administered by Thomas Warham and J. W. Jones. In the afternoon, Robert H. Summers, Elder at Eton, President Stainton and President George A. Smith spoke, and in the evening session, Sister Smith, Elder Haddock, President Smith and President Stainton spoke. The statistical report for the year showed 350 members including 18 elders and 9 baptisms. 1920. On the 18th January, the Gainsborough branch was reorganized, with George H. Parker as branch president. On the 21st of March, the annual Hull Conference was held, with President George Albert Smith and his son Albert as conference president, with Graham Stainton and Elder Robert H. Summers attending. The Hull and Grimsby Sunday schools gave a program in the morning, and in the afternoon, the Grimsby choir rendered a selection. Among the speakers was another elder, E. W. Smith. His calling is not recorded. The Hull Branch Conference preceded this meeting in February, with J. Warham as branch president. Sister Baraclough Selby spoke in the meeting. In July, a district meeting was held, with President Stainton and Elder Summers present. The semi-annual conference was held on the 10th October, again with President of the European Mission, George Albert Smith. Julius F. Wells of the Millennial Star Office. Gurdham Stainton, Hull Conference President. 3 elders of the Hull Conference, J. F. Titton of Grimsby and Thomas Warham of Hull Branch present. President Gardham and Elder R. H. Summers were honorably released, and Arthur H. Taylor and James S. Smith appointed to succeed them, as President of Conference and Travelling Elder respectively. 1921. Missionary movements in the Conference continued. At the end of December 1920, Elders Gordon W. Mathis and Esdras Whitaker were transferred from London. Elder Whitaker was assigned to labour in Gainsborough with Elder James S. Smith. In February, 2 more elders were transferred from London, Elders Marvin T. King and Francis A. Madison. Elder Mathis and Madsen were sent to the Grimsby branch. The annual conference was on May 1, apparently presided by Thomas M. Wheeler, Secretary of the European Mission. On June 19, at a special meeting, Robert H. Summers was disfellowshipped for insubordination to the priesthood meeting, unchristian-like conduct and causing a public disturbance in a sacrament meeting. He was re-fellowshipped on January 22, 1922. In September, there were 3 branches listed as being in the Hull Conference. Hull Branch with Conference President, Arthur H. Taylor. Elders George Osmond Hyde and James S. Smith. Gainsborough Branch with Elders Esdras Whitaker and Gordon W. Mathis, and Grimsby Branch with Elders Francis A. Madison and Melvin T. King. The semi-annual conference was held November 20, with Apostle Orson F. Whitney, President of the European Mission presiding, with his wife, Mary Wells Whitney, Elder Thomas M. Wheeler of the Liverpool office, all the elders listed in the conference, plus Marion Rogers, Donald D. Rose and Alpheus Harvey, and William Naylor of Leeds Conference. There were 3 sessions in Hull, and a general priesthood meeting in Grimsby on the Saturday. President Taylor was released, and George Osmond Hyde appointed in his place. The statistical report showed 338 members, including 13 elders and 8 baptisms for the year. The previous year showed only 3. 1922. In January, Elders King and Madsen were transferred to York to open up work there, the first elders to be assigned to York since the war. By May 11, they had secured a hall for their Sunday meetings. On March 31, a priesthood meeting of the travelling elders of the conference was held at Grimsby, with encouraging reports from each branch. Reference was made to an infamous film being shown, but it was decided that it was doing more good than harm, for all meetings were better attended and many new friends were being made. On April 30, the semi-annual conference was held in Thrift Hall, Grimsby, with President and Sister Whitney. In June, Elder Marion Rogers was transferred to Gainsborough, and with Elder Burton, started labouring in the district. They purchased bicycles in order to reach nearby towns. On June 12, they held the first street meeting for a number of years. There was a crowd of over 200 attending. The elders were asked to hold another the following evening, but rain prevented them from doing so. On June 18, a baptismal service was conducted at Cleethorpes, and 7 people were baptized. The use of the public baths in Grimsby and Hull had been refused, so the ocean at the resort was used. On June 15, in Hull, President O. Hyde, with 2 elders attempted to hold a street meeting. A crowd of over 500 gathered, but the inspector of police, in a much undignified manner, told us to clear off. Permission had been obtained for the meeting, but not in writing. On the following day, however, permission was given to hold a meeting 10 days later. This was followed on the 19th, by another letter, which stated, "Gentlemen, I beg to inform you that as a breach of the peace is most likely to ensue by the holding of these street meetings, the permission granted for you to hold an open-air meeting on the 25th. does not feel justified in allowing you to hold a meeting of this nature in any of the streets of this city. Yours faithfully, the Deputy Chief Constable." On July 28, a meeting of the travelling elders of the conference was held at conference headquarters in Hull, President Hyde presiding. Elders Gordon Mathis and Marcel Widsoe were sent to Scunthorpe, to open up work there. Elders Marvin L. Nielsen and David D. Lamph were sent to Hull. At a later priesthood meeting held in Grimsby, Elders Mathis and Widtsoe had started cottage meetings in Ashby, near Scunthorpe, and prospects were bright for the organization of a branch there. In October, all the elders of the conference were present at a banquet in honor of Elder Francis A. Mudson, who, at his own request, was being transferred to the London Conference. Elder Alpheus Harvey was appointed presiding elder of York Branch. Elder David D. Lamph transferred to York, and Elder Hiram Sutcliffe to Hull. Later, Elder Lyle Riggs of Arizona transferred from Sheffield to Hull, and Elder D. Norman Dotson arrived from Salt Lake City. On December 2nd, a baptismal service was held at the Latter-day Saints Meeting House in Sheffield, when 2 from Grimsby, 4 from Gainsborough and 4 from Hull were baptized. During December, Elder Horace Whittle arrived, and was assigned to Gainsborough. Elder Burton transferred to Scunthorpe. Elder Lamph transferred from York to Hull to act as conference clerk, and Elder Widtsoe transferred to York. 1923. On the 16th of January, the travelling elders held a priesthood meeting in Grimsby, with President Hyde presiding. On February 3, another meeting was held, this time in Foresters Hall, Hull, when President David O. Mackay met with the missionaries. Elder John F. O'Lesson, who had been conference president 10 years ago, was also there. Reports were given on the work of the conference, and President Mackay complimented them all on the work they were doing. The motto of the European Mission for 1923, he said, was, "Every member a missionary." The regular monthly meeting of the travelling elders was held on February 16 in Thrift Hall, Grimsby. This hall was also the venue of a social, on March 17, to honour 3 returning missionaries. President and Sister Mackay were present and other leaders. The Hull Annual Conference, on March 18, was also held in Grimsby, with President Mackay presiding. Also attending were Elder David W. Goddard of the Liverpool office, Grant G. Anderson of Leeds Conference, A. Lewis Elgren of Norwich and Hiram Sutcliffe of Sheffield. At an elders' meeting held between sessions, President Hyde was released, and Marion Rogers sustained to succeed him in the Hull Conference. In May and June, 2 baptismal services were held in the Orwell Street Baths in Grimsby, with a total of 19 people being baptized. The total in the conference for the year was 26. The following elders arrived to labor in units of the conference: Newlong D. Rushton, Kenneth A. Brady, Parley A. Peterson, Edward Smith, Samuel P. Martin, John G. Osborne, William G. Jackson, John C. Hooper, J. Leland B. Hunin, and Ellis Albert Hipwell. The semi-annual conference was held on October 28, with President David O. Mackay presiding. Also present were his wife, Elder William E. Allen of the Liverpool office, President Fielding K. Smoth of Sheffield, Donald E. Rose of the Scottish, Elder Rodney D. Price of the Newcastle, and President Marion Rogers, and travelling elders of the Hull Conference. There were 3 sessions. In November, the office of the Hull Conference was moved from 34 Margaret Street to 323 Anlaby Road. President Rogers was released, and Alpheus Harvey was appointed conference president. He was released on December 25, and Elder K. Marcel Widtsoe was appointed to succeed him. The statistical report, dated 30th November, showed 324 members, including 11 elders with 26 baptisms. 1924. Conference headquarters was moved again in March from 323 Anlaby Road to 10 Linnaeus Street. It was moved again in April to 45 Lansdowne Street. Headquarters was moved again in May to 27 Wilberforce Street. Annual conference was held on April 27, with President David O. Mackay presiding and President Marcel Widtsoe conducting 3 sessions. At the priesthood meeting on Tuesday the 29th April, the elders were assigned. Elders Widtsoe, Martin and Brady to Hull. Edward B. Smith and William Jackson to Grimsby, John C. Hooper and Leroy D. Tinney to Gainsborough, J. Leland Behunin and William Ned Newell to York. The work in Scunthorpe, in opening a branch, was given to elders Whittle and Hipwell. On May 23, President Widsoe and Elder Brady went to Goole to see what prospects there were for opening a branch there. They found conditions very favorable. Elder Fielding K. Smith and Mrs. Margaret Smith of Salt Lake City were already there. Many homes of Sister Smith's relatives were being opened to the elders. On May 27, the elders moved out of Gainsborough. The branch was not closed, but the elders were to circuit there each weekend to hold services. On July 4, U.S. Independence Day, elders of Hull, Leeds and Sheffield met in York to celebrate. The feature of the day was a baseball game held between Leeds and Sheffield. Sheffield won. A similar event was held on July 24, to mark Pioneer Day, which was held in Doncaster, this time Sheffield playing Hull. Sheffield won again. After spending 10 months visiting friends and relatives, Sister Margaret Smith, formerly of Goole, returned to her home in Salt Lake City. She had done considerable work in conjunction with the elders in various branches. On the 31st of August, President Widsoe baptized 4 people in the North Sea at Cleethorpes. The following day, he was released as president to return home, and was replaced by Elder Kenneth A. Brady. On September 2, the elders held their regular monthly meeting, and also held a banquet in honor of President Widsoe. On 26 September, conference headquarters were again moved from 27 Wilberforce Street to No. 1 Arlington Street. The reason for moving was because conditions were not conducive to good missionary work. The new lodge was much more convenient. On October 4, the 12 elders of the conference met in Foresters Hall, with President Brady announcing new standards of tracting, whereby achievements could be measured in terms of new homes opened, pamphlets sold, conversations held and baptisms. The semi-annual conference was held on October 19 in Hull. President Brady conducted the sessions, under the direction of Elder Reuben H. Sanders, of the Liverpool office. During the evening session, the conference choir, directed by Elder Parry, sang the Pilgrim's Chorus. On November 7, President Brady attended a special meeting of all conference presidents in London. On the 24th November, various transfers occurred. Elder Newell from York to Hull, Elder Jackson from Goole to York, Elder Tinney from Grimsby to Goole. On December 1, Elder Parry submitted a letter to the editor of the Hull Daily Mail, in defense of Mormonism. The letter was published. Another letter appeared on December 8, to the effect that books relating to the subjects on Mormonism, which had been submitted by the Mormon elders to the Library Committee, had been rejected. There were 7 libraries under the jurisdiction of this one committee in Hull. 2 days later, President Brady and Elder Newell had a long talk with Mr. Bagley, the chief librarian at Albion Street Library, on the question of why our books were turned down. The 2 brethren received little satisfaction except that it was the outcome of personal prejudice on the part of the committee. On December 14, the president went to Scunthorpe to spend a weekend assisting the brethren there in holding their first meeting in the new meeting room, lately leased for the winter. Meetings had been held there before in Central Hall but with very little success. Attendance at the meeting was 10. The statistical report for the year showed 3 to 4 members, including 10 elders, and that 9 baptisms had taken place. That concludes audio transcript, 4 of 9, of a local history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Hull and Grimsby area, 1844 to 1973.